There's a saying, when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong. Wait a minute, I'm not done now.
27th, 1975, a prophet named Ruth Green prophesied that I would travel the world and preach to millions of people.
Conversely, when the devil comes at you, maybe it's because you're trying to do something right.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't have anything against Oprah.
You just called up.
I'm gonna tell you why.
You named your dog Oprah, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
We step right onto Hollywood's fault line at the exact second it starts to shake, feeling the red carpet tremble beneath us as Denzel Washington, the man everyone treats like the industry's moral compass, allegedly aims a calm, steady finger toward Oprah Winfrey and whispers something that lands like a lightning strike. He hints she might be shielding Sean Diddy Combs in a whole orbit of powerful names from real scrutiny.
Let's talk about the filth that's starting to come out in the early days of the Diddy trial. This, of course, is P. Diddy. Surprise, surprise, he's a creep. Surprise, surprise, he's done horrible things.
And the reaction hits instantly. You can practically taste the shock in the air. This isn't some backlot disagreement or a cheap Tuesday headline built for gossip clicks. This is Denzel, the same man who dropped scripture between takes and once said, "Spirituality is important in every aspect of my life," stepping into the cultural courtroom with a statement that feels like it could shake daytime television itself.
Dishonest, violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers describe the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious trafficking charges in a New York court.
He delivers it with the kind of precision that makes every studio in town go unsettlingly quiet. You can feel that silence rolling across the industry like a cold draft through studio bungalows and gated mansions. Because when Denzel speaks, executives shut their office doors and publicists suddenly forget how to breathe. It's that rare hush that tells you something bigger is stirring under the surface. We pause in that tension for a moment and listen closer.
Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things. Witnessed violence.
Because Denzel's voice, like sharpened by decades of unmatched gravitas, cuts through Hollywood chatter like a train whistle slicing through a sleeping town. This is the same actor who once said, "My work has been my ministry," and people still remember the time he reportedly debated stepping away from acting altogether to focus on something more spiritual.
The time she made a mention to hip-hop culture, it was something that was wrong with it. And it was something that was on my CD that was the largest debut.
Now it feels like the pulpit has followed him straight onto the soundstage, and he's delivering a message nobody expected but everyone instantly pays attention to. And the first verse of that message, he hints that Oprah's carefully polished halo,
"Say, Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do, and stop hiding behind what you call was negative comment,"
might not shine the same under a different light. Especially if she's aligned with people she'd never invite to one of her vision board brunches unless cameras were rolling. That implication alone sends a chill through every corner of her empire. Because if America's most trusted woman is allegedly stepping in to protect Diddy,
business. And the bullies are so used to being bullies, they don't understand when somebody bite back.
Right.
Not bark back, they bite.
A man currently dealing with accusations that sound like scenes from a shadowy thriller, then what else might be tucked behind that flawless, world-famous smile? The thought alone makes Oprah's entire brand seem like it's holding its breath, just waiting for the next tremor to hit. We remember every marathon couch session where A-listers broke down in her arms while
afraid of coming forward. They've been afraid of what he could potentially do to them within the industry, what he could do to them professionally, maybe even personally. And so yes, it's been a dark secret that they've held on to for a very, very long time.
Millions watching at home felt like they were witnessing some kind of emotional rebirth. We remember the cars wrapped in bows, the tearful surprises, the unstoppable empire of empowerment she built piece by piece. But now we're suddenly asked to consider a totally different picture. One where the beloved queen of daytime might be playing a far bigger, far sharper game of cosmic chess while everyone else was casually sipping chai on set. Denzel's whispered warning doesn't fade. It bounces through Hollywood's chandelier-lit corridors like a signal flare.
It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14, and I've heard the stories, of what.
And it forces an uncomfortable question onto the table. Has Oprah been using her aura of spiritual leadership as the perfect cover for something deeper? Has she positioned herself at the gates of influence, deciding who gets redemption, who gets distance, and which stories get neatly folded into silence? Our attention locks onto the horizon because just behind that first tremor sits the looming presence of Sean Combs.
I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Like when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be.
A figure whose name alone shifts the air. The same man who once dominated music and television with pure swagger now sits inside a Brooklyn facility, his future tangled in allegations that read like scenes from a dark drama. There are claims about hush arrangements, behind-the-scenes negotiations, and investigators reportedly uncovering notebooks outlining ways to push back on accusers. Prosecutors describe him as someone orchestrating elaborate, chaotic ceremonies and using influence in ways that raise serious questions. And in the background of that chaos, those old photos of Oprah and Combs flash like vintage film reels. Red carpet poses, warm hugs, glowing interviews, moments of mutual admiration. And suddenly the question hits harder.
Let that be a lesson to all the bullies, may it be in comedy, may it be in wherever, you never know.
Were those interactions simply professional moments, or could they have represented something more carefully calculated happening behind the curtains? We look back at Denzel's sudden boldness and try to trace where it comes from. His career is filled with characters who confront crooked systems and their own hidden battles. From Training Day to Roman J. Israel Escort, he's always gravitated toward roles that challenge the moral landscape. Maybe that instinct never turned off. Maybe that compass follows him off screen too.
Sorry, I'm just like really, I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck during those years. You're still stuck 21 years later.
After all, he's the son of a longtime Pentecostal minister, and he once shared that a woman prophesied he would speak to millions one day. Maybe that moment is unfolding right now under the glow of studio lights instead of the stained glass he once considered standing under. And the idea that the actor we've trusted for decades to embody righteousness might be using Hollywood's volume to sound an unexpected wake-up call hits with a chill that crawls straight up the spine. The empire suddenly looks exposed, even as its queen lives tucked away in a gated Montecito sanctuary. And we can't ignore the whispers spilling from insiders who claim Denzel has quietly warned young actors about what he calls Oprah's spiritual maneuvering. They swear that at rap parties, he allegedly pulled rising stars aside and told them to protect their inner peace if an invitation from her famous book club ever slid into their inboxes. Those whispers insist he's disturbed by a pattern that keeps repeating.
It was like, wow, for Diddy? What? You know, that was a person that I looked up to. He was a mogul, and I listened to all the artists that he made superstars. And so to have a chance to be able to be signed to him, it was amazing. It was like, oh my God, I'm here. I finally.
First, the warm industry connection with Harvey Weinstein back when he still had the power to shape Oscar campaigns. Then the glowing public moments with spiritual advisor Joel Dow, a figure later disgraced, convicted, and tied to offenses people still struggle to talk about out loud. All these alliances form a mosaic that looks harmless at first, until the pieces lock together and reveal a picture nobody can unsee.
Cornered me. And then he asked me, with his arm up, he asked me, how you doing? I'm kind of like, wow, this is, what the heck? Very uncomfortable. And then he rubbed his hand down my breast. He said, if you need anything at all, you let me know.
Now the spotlight shifts to the charges unfolding in a New York courtroom, and suddenly the conversation widens. We're pushed toward that rumored A-list network linking Oprah and Diddy, a connection insiders claim runs deeper than any hidden tunnel beneath Beverly Hills. Industry veterans talk about private gatherings at her Santa Barbara ranch, where powerful names allegedly met behind closed doors to strategize, align brands, and whisper deals over crystal decanters glowing under moonlight. The rumors go further, suggesting favors exchanged.
Definitely. We're all going to take a disgusting trip to his seedy, awful world. You know, the man has no class. He has no kindness in his dark, dark heart. And he's depraved. That's my opinion. This is a depraved, disgusting individual about whom I wish to hear nothing after this trial is done.
Mysterious disappearances of once promised roles and scandals that seem to evaporate faster than they should have. It's a world where influence feels thicker than any studio gate, and the deeper you look, the heavier the tension grows. Because Diddy's ongoing legal cases paint those after-hours meetups in a very different light.
The question is he a criminal? Is he basically akin to a mob boss running several criminal enterprises? And while it's very clear to me he is a depraved, disgusting person, we have to prove that he violated the law.
Prosecutors describe highly curated performances arranged for his personal entertainment, with participants chosen, guided, and compensated in ways that raise serious questions. And looming right above all of it is the unsettling idea that Oprah's presence might not have been casual networking at all, but alleged strategic insulation, a form of crisis protection before any crisis even broke the surface. And we remember something else too. Years ago, Oprah seemed completely uncomfortable with hip-hop's raw storytelling. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson publicly said she disliked everything about his lyrical world. So much so that he even named his dog after her as a playful jab. That makes their later public friendliness feel even stranger, almost like a subplot in a story that's only now starting to unfold. Those smiling photos of Oprah and Diddy standing shoulder to shoulder hit differently now, especially knowing how firmly she once rejected his entire artistic world. So we're left questioning whether that shift was a genuine change of heart, or a strategic move to stand beside one of music's most influential power players. It makes us wonder if her evolving loyalties reveal something deeper, a pattern of adjusting alliances not out of principle but for the protection and expansion of her empire. Another tremor hits the moment Monique's long-running betrayal saga drags itself back into the spotlight. She insists Oprah promised support, only to allegedly abandon her when studio politics turned cold and unforgiving. That wound still bleeds across interviews, and it forces us to re-examine the image of Oprah as a universal champion of empowerment. Then we remember Taraji P. Henson breaking down as she spoke about wage inequality, and those tears echo through this narrative like an alarm bell. Suddenly, the question becomes unavoidable. Does Oprah's version of uplift shine on everyone equally, or only on those who fit into her carefully curated circle? Denzel's supposed concerns slide right into that pattern, hinting that behind the glowing speeches and inspirational branding, there might be a quiet system deciding who gets a boost and who gets pushed into the shadows. As we trace Oprah's public connections, the timeline gets even more unsettling. When Weinstein's downfall exploded across the news cycle, she issued a polished statement about being humbled, but the photos and praise from past events still sit online for anyone to revisit. Then there's John of God, a figure she once spotlighted, later escorted by police and tied to allegations that stunned the world. Her earlier endorsements remain frozen in digital stone, a reminder of how complicated these alliances have always been. Each one of these connections feels like a test of judgment, and Denzel's alleged warning implies those tests might not have been passed. We feel a chill settle in as the symmetry becomes impossible to ignore. While Diddy's legal battles unravel allegations involving private flights, long nights, and exhaustion so intense it required IV drips, Oprah's iconic couch stands as the exact opposite, a place where public image, memory, and redemption have been shaped for decades. But if she spent years shielding her friend from uncomfortable questions, even unintentionally, could that have allowed certain harmful patterns to quietly grow behind velvet entrances and elite circles? That's when we picture Denzel, maybe standing off stage during a late-night appearance or kneeling in the back corner of a small studio church service, watching all of this unfold and deciding the moment has finally come to speak up. Denzel has always warned colleagues that fame is a mirage, a shimmering illusion that vanishes the moment you reach for it. He's the same man who stood before graduates at Dillard University and urged them to put God first, to root themselves in something deeper than applause. And now his concerns, as insiders describe them, don't stop at high-profile men. They extend to how Oprah allegedly treats black women who step outside her expectations. The idea hits hard. Denzel's call-out isn't just about one mogul. It's about an entire ecosystem where shiny empowerment slogans can sometimes mask exploitation. We lean closer as prosecutors peel back more layers of Diddy's world. While he now walks circles inside a stark cell, investigators say his empire once operated from spiral notebooks, packed with strategies, payoffs, pressure campaigns, and even 36 calls in 4 days to an unnamed witness. The irony is brutal. Those same notebooks reportedly held inspirational quotes scribbled right beside alleged intimidation plans, like a strange mix of self-help and control tactics. Meanwhile, Oprah's team is reportedly working overtime, polishing her digital presence and quietly removing old, cheerful snapshots with Diddy from social feeds. Tony Busby, the attorney representing over 100 accusers, fires off letters to celebrity guests who attended those now infamous gatherings. His message is simple: settle or see us in court. Suddenly, A-listers are huddling with attorneys at lightning speed, terrified that a single selfie or a single appearance could land their name on a subpoena list, and the ground beneath Melrose feels like it's shifting again. If Busby's ultimatum holds, we could witness a wave of high-profile settlements rolling through Hollywood, each one sealed with a non-disclosure agreement that quietly suggests those rumored freak-offs weren't just exaggerated stories passed around for shock value. Oprah's allies now face a brutal decision: loyalty or liability. And it's impossible not to picture the chaos. Frantic midnight phone calls, PR teams assembling crisis decks under iPhone flashlights, lawyers sliding hush agreements across marble kitchen counters inside gated estates. The temperature rises with every detail. We rewind to Diddy's travel trail and remember the moment federal agents swept into his Los Angeles and Miami homes. They seized laptops, hard drives, and security footage, ripping through the myth that this was all just tabloid fantasy. Every item pulled, every file taken feels like another tremor in a storm that's nowhere near finished. We remember that leaked surveillance footage from the high-end Los Angeles hotel, the clip showing Cassie Ventura being kicked, dragged, and humiliated in a hallway, lined with polished marble and luxury lighting. When that video surfaced, Diddy released an emotional apology video, head lowered, voice trembling. But prosecutors didn't buy it for a second. They called it calculated damage control meant to calm a storm already spinning out of his hands. And through all of it, Oprah, the queen of televised redemption arcs, stayed noticeably silent. It makes us wonder, did she see an empire collapsing too fast to repair? Or was she simply hoping the chaos would blow over without pulling her name into the headlines? The thought lingers as we consider Oprah's real power. She isn't just a celebrity, she's a media gatekeeper. With her network, her streaming partnerships, and her primetime influence, she can elevate careers or quietly dim them. And if she ever used that power to bury uncomfortable stories involving people close to her, then Denzel's alleged warning suddenly feels razor sharp. Could Oprah's empire be built not just on storytelling, but on controlling the story, crafting emotional confessions for ratings while privately rerouting the spotlight when it threatens her inner circle? We remember Seal's pointed Instagram post accusing Oprah of knowing more about Weinstein than she let on. We remember Rose McGowan openly calling her as fake as they come. At the time, these seemed like heated celebrity outbursts, but under Denzel's chilling lens, they feel less like noise and more like early tremors before the ground splits. And then there was the strange online swirl where Dave Chappelle's name got dragged into clickbait rumors about Oprah supposedly being a hidden handler, a wild theory that fizzled fast under scrutiny, yet still left behind a faint residue of doubt that never fully washed away. We drift back to the scandal at Oprah's Leadership Academy in South Africa, the dormitory incident that exploded into global headlines and pulled Oprah straight into courtroom turbulence. She pushed for full transparency, but critics argued her legal team's sheer firepower overshadowed the smaller voices involved. Each new allegation across the years threads into a growing tapestry of subtle red flags. Tiny pulls that, once tugged together, start to loosen the edges of a perfectly crafted image. And when we widen our view even further, we hear insiders claim that Denzel's critique includes something deeper, that Oprah's benevolence allegedly comes with an unspoken expectation of absolute loyalty. Step out of line and suddenly studio doors stop opening. Invitations vanish in transit. Opportunities drift away without explanation. It echoes Monique's claim that she was blackballed simply for refusing a grueling promotional schedule. And under this new light, her story doesn't look isolated. It looks like part of a pattern stretching through years of Hollywood whispers and uneasy alliances. She wasn't paid for her time, and Denzel's stance suggests there's something much deeper going on, something rooted in a moral obligation to speak up, even when the person in question is one of the most adored figures in entertainment. If conscience truly is commanding him, then the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. Prosecutors claim Diddy orchestrated elaborate, carefully arranged performances with commercial companions, used pressure tactics when anyone hesitated, and filled notebooks with plans focused on influence, intimidation, and controlling the narrative. Meanwhile, Oprah's Global Book Club thrives. Her Instagram posts move from uplifting quotes to recipes to glowing snapshots of calm living. But somewhere inside her inner circle, publicists are reportedly combing through archived episodes, praying no old conversation resurfaces that links her too closely to Diddy's increasingly dark allegations. No one wants a soundbite traveling from the vault into the center of the storm. And you can feel the industry's pulse start to spike. Agents whisper coded phrases like rebrand, image detox, and strategic distance. Contracts with streaming platforms now contain morality clauses, sharper and more unforgiving than ever. Rising actors and creatives are quietly debating whether Oprah's approval, once the ultimate golden ticket, is worth the potential risks. Sitting across from her used to symbolize career ascension, the holy grail of visibility. But now that same seat feels like a velvet throne with hidden pressure plates built into the floor. Denzel's alleged bombshell forces everyone to calculate the kind of cost-benefit equation no one ever thought they'd have to confront. And we can imagine him staying respectful yet unwavering, guided by values he's mentioned many times before. Maybe he's thinking about his mother's relentless prayers, or that prophecy spoken over him in a salon chair years ago. Maybe he's reflecting on the path he's taken, directing, mentoring young talent, shaping stories with intention, all choices that speak to a man thinking about legacy. So why put that legacy at risk with a claim this explosive? Maybe because staying silent would feel like endorsing a machine he believes has gone too far. And complicity, especially in a city where everyone is quietly complicit in something, might finally be too much for him to carry. We study Oprah's long history of televised atonement specials, couples repairing broken trust, public figures confronting their mistakes, politicians admitting to failings, everyday people finding closure from decades-old wounds. She has always been the architect of transformative moments, but now the audience wonders whether she'll have to stage one for herself. Will she host her own reckoning episode? Will she invite Denzel? Will she bring in Diddy's accusers? Will Taraji or Monique sit on that couch again? Would it be a dramatic attempt at a grand, cinematic absolution, the kind only Oprah can orchestrate? Or will she keep every curtain tightly drawn, trusting that loyal fans will dismiss all this as exaggerated tabloid chaos? And as she decides the legal world is already moving, we see law firms sharpening their subpoenas, private investigators cross-checking flight manifests from Diddy's jets with guest lists from private gatherings, and a growing sense that this story is nowhere near finished. From Oprah's vineyard soirees, we can feel the unease drifting straight into Bel Air patios. People are suddenly asking who else showed up at those rumored freak-offs and who signed NDAs that now feel worth less than a scratched lottery ticket. Savvy managers are urging clients to donate to survivor charities, hoping the goodwill might soften whatever splashback is coming their way. And no matter how anyone tries to spin it, the implications are enormous. Because if Oprah, armed with billions, influence, and a reputation built on life-changing inspiration, stumbles at this moral crossroads, what does it say about the dream she sold to millions? The dream that hard work plus positive thinking leads to abundance, transformation, clarity? But behind that mantra, there might have been gatekeepers trading favors in dim corridors while viewers believed in fairy tales. Denzel's alleged warning practically demands we examine the storybook we've all been strolling through. We picture the hallway outside Denzel's trailer, the open Bible resting on the craft services table, verses underlined in fading ink. Insiders say that when he raps for the day, he often gathers crew members and prays with them, reminding everyone that their worth stretches far beyond the camera lens. It's that grounded authenticity that makes his accusations shake the room. Hollywood feuds often smell like PR stunts, but nobody accuses Denzel Washington of chasing cheap attention. Then our focus shifts back to Diddy's cell. Guards say they found scribbled to-do lists, and prosecutors allege those notes included instructions to pay off witnesses and manage narratives. We picture him in a tan jumpsuit, flipping through legal documents, trying to design escape routes that rely on influencing other people from behind locked doors. And when we compare that to Oprah's polished affirmations, plastered on vision boards across the world, we can't help wondering if behind each inspirational quote sits a quiet ledger tracking loyalty, access, and advantage. Tony Busby's voice cuts through all of this. He's openly taunting celebrities, telling them to settle now or brace for the courtroom spotlight, a place where every attendance list, every flight log, every party guest roster will be examined under oath. Some stars are probably already drafting checks, hoping to disappear from depositions before their names get printed in legal filings. But once too many hush agreements stack up, they stop looking like isolated decisions. They turn into a pattern louder than any public denial could ever be. And it feels like Denzel saw this whole chain reaction coming. Maybe that's why he decided to ignite the conversation before the whispers drowned everything out. It's almost easy to imagine Oprah back in her Montecito garden, crisp linen, warm sunrise, a quiet morning ritual, trying to figure out whether this storm can pass, or whether it's only just beginning. She may retreat into her Montecito sanctuary and call Stedman for counsel, Maya Angelou's poetry echoing somewhere in the back of her mind as she weighs her next move. Does she see Denzel's challenge as a betrayal, or as an unexpected invitation to evolve? The real question is whether she chooses to restore her empire's moral shine by confronting the storm head-on, or whether she tightens her grip on the narrative and continues steering the story from behind the curtain. Because Hollywood is still recovering from the aftershocks of Me Too, streaming upheavals, and collapsing power structures, moguls are clinging to their reputations like life rafts, hoping they stay afloat in waters that keep rising. And if Oprah's carefully built brand dims even a little, new power brokers will rise fast, maybe even the ones shaped by Denzel's influence. Artists grounded in faith, transparency, and authenticity, ready to pull storytelling away from smoke and mirror illusions and back towards something real. We hold our breath as lawyers clash behind closed doors and court dates creep closer. You can almost picture Oprah rehearsing possible public statements in her garden, while Diddy's attorneys fight to shield those cell-scratch notes behind claims of privilege. The stakes grow heavier with every passing day. Meanwhile, Denzel stays focused on set, weaving a sense of righteousness into every scene he films. Intentional, steady, unshaken. And the tension around him swells into a full storm front. Clouds tinted by rumors, accountability, and long-buried truths finally cracking open. We ask ourselves if Hollywood is finally ready to audit its own conscience. If Denzel's stand pushes others to speak, the industry could be on the edge of a true reformation. Or, just as possible, the system might turn on him the way it has on countless others who dared to speak too early, too clearly, and too loudly. We picture Denzel standing calm and unshaken, fully prepared for whatever fallout comes next, carrying himself like a man who believes truth has its own version of box office power. As we inch toward the finale, our hearts pound because what started as a shocking allegation has transformed into something much bigger. A full-on test of whether fame and integrity can coexist, or whether one always ends up swallowing the other. Denzel's alleged call-out of Oprah drags that question right into the brightest spotlight imaginable, and suddenly the stakes feel colossal. The next chapter could either defend Hollywood's most cherished matriarch, or peel back the curtain on an empire built on carefully curated virtue. We reach the brink of this story and look around at the wreckage, the shaken legacies, the trembling reputations, the towers still standing only because the wind hasn't hit them yet. Some names might crumble next week. Others might rise again like phoenixes with fresh explanations and polished reinventions. But one thing is certain, we can't unhear Denzel's suspicion, and we can't unsee the mosaic of alliances stretching from glowing red carpets to tense courtroom hallways. As the stage lights dim, we let out a final cinematic breath. Because if the man who built his career on portraying redemption is right about Oprah's off-camera connections, then we have to ask ourselves, what other icons are hiding cracks behind that glossy Hollywood shine? Are we ready for those answers, or will we cling to the comforting illusions we've always known until the credits finally roll? Hold that thought for a second. Drop a comment and tell us, do you still trust the queen of daytime? Or did Denzel's warning break the spell for you? Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and keep that notification bell ready, because the next bombshell is already rumbling beneath Tinseltown's streets. Stay bold, stay curious, and we'll see you on the next one.